So this is the Never Summer Dipstick. It's a 156. You know, you can see the review above, but it's basically a, you know, a mellower version of the Proto Type 2, kind of across the board. It has a softer flex, and oh, gotta get that sticker off. It has a softer flex, a little bit softer. It's not massively softer, but it's definitely a little bit softer, a little more playful. And it has a mellower camber profile that you can see here. It kind of reminds me of the old Proto before, you know, it became the Proto Type 2, the asymmetrical twin. And you can see here, it's got that mellower elliptical camber. Let me right back. I'm gonna get my Proto Type 2. Stay with me here. Just looking for it in the Good Ride quiver. And this is a 57. And you can kind of see, this is my 57. It's glorious. But you can see how kind of like there's just a little bit more rise. You know, if we were to do this, you can see there's a little more camber underfoot than the Dipstick. Dipstick's got the old elliptical rocker and camber, and the Proto Type 2 has the ripsaw camber profile, which is pretty cool. I personally like the ripsaw camber profile a little better, but to each his own. If you want a little more mellow ride, a little less, you know, just a little more mellow everything, you've got the old original rocker and camber here. So let's get into some measurements here real quick. We've been doing this lately, just doing the back and the front to kind of give you an idea of the overall width in relation to the boot footprint you have. You're looking at about 26.8, 26.9 roughly, and then about 25.8, 25.9 roughly in the middle there. And then kind of like the same thing on the other side because it's a true twin. Now, another thing though with Never Summer is if you're looking at the Dipstick, where did I put it? But I think you're only looking at like a couple inches back on board total. But if you want to set it all the way back, you're looking at 22.25, which is pretty good. And the difference between nose and tail, 20.5 versus just about 18, so 2.5. So only 1.25 back on board from center if you set it all the way back. That's not a lot of directional float. You get this to ride centered in powder, which is not always totally easy. So if you're somebody who likes to set your board back, you might want to look at the, you know, not the gunslinger, the peacemaker. That might be like the better call. It's similar in flex, similar in size, a little, I think a little wider platform, and you can get so much further back on board with those, you know, setback inserts that you can get up to like what a lot of free ride boards have, even more than some. And you can really get some fun directional float. Like that's the call if you like to set it back. But all in all, this is, you know, this is fun for what it is. It's twin. It's kind of like, kind of a nod to like, you know, the late 2000s and, you know, early teens. When, you know, rocker and camber was dominant in Never Summer's line. You know, this base, they just, you know, call it like the Durasurf 5500, but I found that Never Summer bases have a really good glide to it when waxed, and you know, this is no exception. They, you know, I'm not a fan of the die cut, but it's done really well. I can't, you know, I can barely feel it. It changes from board to board. And another thing to mention too is camber profiles change from board to board. Sometimes the rocker's higher here, sometimes the camber's more. It's not Never Summer's fault. It's just a problem with wood throughout the industry. It cures differently, and, you know, so This might be like this for me, but for you it might be more like this, or it might be more like this. But you can see it's got that kind of loose personality in harder snow, but as the snow gets softer, it feels more stable. It's something you can get used to pretty quick. But there you have it. That's the Dipstick.